Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray, president of your Unitarian Universalist Association. It is so good to be with you for another season of Ingathering. This time marks the end of summer when we come together to renew our commitments to each other, to our Unitarian Universalist communities, and to begin another vital year of ministry. In the summer months, I hope that you and your loved ones found some time to rejuvenate your bodies and spirits, to rest, to enjoy the long summer days, to pursue hobbies that bring you joy. I know that the world is all too much, and it matters that we take time to rest. For rest is necessary for the quality of our lives, of our ministries, and of our spirits. We are all living in what I have come to call a liminal time, a time in between. The pandemic has upended so much. After 2 years plus of virtual and hybrid gatherings in our congregations, the ways in which people connect to religious community has broadened, and new patterns are still emerging. On so many levels, what comes next is still unfolding and being imagined. As Unitarian Universalists, we are called to care for each other and to create resilient, theologically imaginative spiritual community that sustains us and inspires us as we navigate what's to come and what is needed. And there is so much needed. From supporting access to reproductive care to showing up through UU the Vote to elect leaders that will work to protect our children, our planet, our future, and our deeply held values. It also matters that we attend to doing the fundamentals of religious community, like supporting children and families recovering from, and in some cases still experiencing, the collective trauma of the last few years. Our world needs our message of love and justice. Our world needs brave, bold, and loving communities that are in the struggle for equity, dignity, and compassion. One way to join with your sibling Unitarian Universalists in this work is through UU the Vote. You can find out more at uuthevote.org. Your Unitarian Universalist Association is the embodiment of the covenant that all of our congregations make to each other to support each other. And the UUA is here because of your commitment to make and support and amplify our values, to support each of our congregations in their time of need, and to be more than any of us are alone. At the UUA, we are committed to being steadfast partners with you in this liminal time and in all that is ahead. As you gather in this sacred hour and join again in community, may we each remember the hundreds and thousands of Unitarian Universalists that are gathering all across our association, celebrating and calling themselves back into the power and the possibility of faithful community. For we are not alone, and we make each other strong. I send you my love and my blessings as we enter this new congregation year and celebrate Ingathering. Much love and deep care to all of you.
Welcome, and welcome back to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation of humanists, theists, atheists, agnostics, and interfaith families. We are a proud LGBTQ welcoming congregation, a climate justice seeking green sanctuary, a level 2 sanctuary supporting congregation for immigration justice, and an 8th principle congregation striving to dismantle racism and other oppressions and build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. Whoever you are, whatever your background, and whatever you're participating from, you are welcome here. I am Elliot Jakowski. My wife is Lynn Jakowski. I would like to tell you a bit of our story to share how important First Parish is in our lives. Lynn grew up in the UU Church in Wellesley, and I grew up in a conservative Jewish temple in New York. My mother had a conniption when we announced our engagement and insisted that we not be married by a rabbi in a traditional Jewish ceremony, or she would not attend. We were married by a justice of the peace in Lynn's parents' living room. We wrestled with what type of religious experience our kids should have. We joined a non-theistic, humanistic Jewish congregation that had a Sunday school program where the kids were exposed to Jewish history and culture, and more importantly, Jewish and humanistic values. Several years later, Lynn approached me and said that she would like us to join a spiritual community here in Needham, and suggested First Parish. I responded, having been brainwashed, that I wouldn't set foot in a church. Nevertheless, Lynn prevailed, and we started attending services here at First Parish a decade ago. Our then membership chair, Kate Taylor, immediately swept both of us up. Lynn joined the Memorial Garden Committee and a small group ministry. She helped coordinate friendly feasts, and she leads the caregiver support group as part of our service on our pastoral care team. And she started Zoom Creative Escapes. Despite my adamant refusal to step into a church, I too found belonging here at First Parish. I now stand before you as president of the board of this congregation. I'm also the chair of the Reopening Task Force, which brings an evidence-based perspective to how we can stay healthy while being in the building during the pandemic. I have also joined the membership committee, the First Parish Choir, Betty Singer's Healing Choir, and I collaborate with Dave and Wendy Blom in the First Parish Players and with Jim and Beth Sargent in the First Parish Singers, our congregation's house bands. Why am I telling you all this? Through these activities, the church has become a big part of our lives. By participating in these committees and programs, we have made deep friendships and received spiritual support that has greatly enriched our lives. Whether this is your first Sunday or your 51st year at First Parish, I hope you find this belonging here too. I'd be happy to talk with any of you after the service about how to get connected and get involved. Although our buildings remain under certain restrictions due to the pandemic, our faith community welcomes everyone. Our congregation is offering worship and programming in a hybrid multi-platform format with in-person, hybrid, and online gatherings. Currently, on Sunday mornings, masks are required here in the sanctuary, but not in the parish hall, although masking is still strongly recommended. You can learn more about all that's happening at First Parish by going to our website, uuneedham.org, or by following us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For all Zoom links and the most up-to-date information, please sign up for our weekly email newsletter by going to our website and clicking Get Involved Newsletter, or sending your request to office@uuneedham.org. Welcome again to everyone here in the building and online, and good morning.
It is so wonderful to see you all today. As we light our chalices, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we read responsively these words from retired Euro-American Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Dr. Dick Gilbert. I will speak the words for one, and you all will respond with Sarah Elizabeth, the words for all. You can find what you're looking for at uuneedham.updates.church. Or if you're a lucky few who got a printed one, share with a friend. We bid you welcome who come with weary spirits seeking rest.
Who come with troubles that are too much with you, who come hurt and afraid.
We bid you welcome who come with hope in your heart.
Who come with anticipation in your step, who come proud and joyous.
We bid you welcome who are seekers of a new faith.
Who come to probe and explore, who come to learn.
We bid you welcome who enter this meeting house as a homecoming.
Who have found here room for your spirit, who find in this people a family.
Whoever you are, whatever you are, wherever you are on your journey,
we bid you welcome.
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of a congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Though we cannot all gather together in person during this time, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant as written in your emailed and printed orders of service. Together, we gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Here we are once again for Ingathering Sunday at First Parish in Needham. With the start of a new church year comes an incredible host of new opportunities and new starts. So we thought that this time for all ages would be well spent introducing you to a couple of amazing new members of our church staff. So please join us in a little segment we are calling Come On Down Season 2.
Welcome to the Season 2 premiere of Come On Down. we are going to invite 2 new players, employees, to join us here on the First Parish staff team. And what better way to learn about each of their own individual quirks and perks than to have them speak directly to all of us. So the first contestant to join the First Parish staff team this morning is Dara Bryans. Come on down, Dara!
So excited.
Dara is our new ministerial intern and uses she, her pronouns. Dara, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a seminarian at BU School of Theology, and I've been a member at First Parish Sherborne for about 16 years.
Well, you certainly have a rich and interesting story to tell. Dara is well-traveled, as evidenced by her ability to speak fluent German and an experience walking the final 100 kilometers of the Camino de Santiago in Portugal. Now, Dara, is it true that you and your husband used to brew beer?
Yes, we did. But I soon left him behind and became a brewmaster.
Ooh. Have you ever won any awards for your beers?
Have I won awards? Yes, I did. Thank you for asking. I got a silver medal at the Great American Beer Festival for my basil beer.
Ooh.
I know, it was fabulous.
Wow, what an accomplishment. Now, I heard that there is a different beverage from beer that you actually treat as a spiritual practice.
Oh, I do. I love tea, and I find selecting a tea, making the tea, waiting for it to steep to be a spiritual practice because it's 2 or 3 minutes long and you can do nothing but ground yourself in the sensory experience of making that cup of tea.
Oh, yes, that sounds like a wonderful thing we can all take home with us. And now, one final question that will help us really get a deeper understanding of you as a person. Which is better, cake or pie?
Why choose?
Well, thank you so much, Dara. We are all very excited to welcome you as our ministerial intern for the next 2 years. Oh, is there any... Oh, go back. Any parting wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
Parting wisdom, that's why I'm in school. I got nothing for you yet, but I will, I promise.
Yeah.
Well, and now I am excited to welcome our second new contestant and new staff member here at First Parish, Harold Fortuyn. Harold, come on down. Oh my gosh. Harold is our new accompanist here at First Parish and uses he, him pronouns. We are so excited to have you here with us, Harold. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, like many of you, I was born, but after that, I started studying music more a little bit seriously, and piano at the age of 8, and even more seriously in my teens, and eventually got to study with the Detroit Symphony pianist while I was at the Public University of Detroit, Wayne State. Also sang in a variety of church choirs, accompanied different church choirs, accompanied a show choir, and also went on to do a master's and PhD in music composition. And I'm living down the road in West Roxbury with 3 children and a wife and a mother-in-law.
Well, I wish you had a little more experience, but you know, I think it'll have to. No, we're so excited to have you, Harold. What a wonderful career. Now, I heard you had an interesting job in high school to make some extra money with your musical talents.
Yes, I didn't reveal yet that I also played trumpet. And maybe the reason why I didn't initially was because, well, what did I end up doing with it besides playing in school band? Well, I was in this heavily Polish area, and this Polish American friends of ours, we formed a wedding band, and we did weddings and got free food and some actual money, and pretty good compared to flipping burgers, and did a lot of gigs, and it was a lot of fun, but really sore on my lips.
Wow. Do you have any other hidden talents we might not otherwise learn about?
Let's see. Well, I'm pretty good at making guacamole.
Fabulous. Well, it is so exciting to learn more about you, but that does bring us to a final and very serious question. What is the funniest name you can come up with for a pet turtle?
Well, it should be called Fido, of course.
Fido, obviously. Thank you, Harold. We are so grateful to have you here in our community. How do you think we should say farewell?
Well, musicians tend to say, adios.
I can already tell that this church year is going to be incredible. Dara and Harold, we are so blessed to have you here as part of our community, and we have so many reasons to look forward to the year ahead. So let's get started.
Well, that's the end of this season of Come On Down. See you next time.
We're actually going to skip ahead slightly in the order of service for any of you paying attention to the order of service. It's not 11 o'clock yet. We're going to do candles now. There's not a candle up there. I'm going to go get one. And now we come to the time during our worship service when we share joys and concerns that are very close to our hearts and to our lives. Our new ministerial intern, Dara Bryans, is receiving pre-submitted candles at internminister@uuneedham.org by the Thursday before the service at midnight, which we will share at the start of this ritual. If you're in the parish hall and have a joy or concern, you're welcome to quietly offer a stone at the altar or write your joy or concern on a slip of paper, which the pastoral care team and the ministers will see at a later time with your permission. And if you're watching on Zoom or YouTube, you may type your candle into the chat box to be held with the community participating in the service with you. As our services live stream to YouTube, we cannot guarantee that your joys, concerns, sorrows, or milestones will stay within the First Parish community. So you're always welcome to reach out to me or to Dara or to the Pastoral Care Associate of the Week. This week is Amy Chikala. There she is. For pastoral care or to share more privately. Our first pre-submitted candle is from me, Reverend Katie. She, hers. This is a candle of joy for my sister and brother-in-law, Heather and Tanvir, who are expecting their first child in November. Our second pre-submitted candle is from Jan Duhamel, one of gratitude for her niece who recently got a job. They are so proud of her. Our third pre-submitted candle is from the First Parish staff team, a candle of complex grief in the wake of Queen Elizabeth II's death this past week. We hold in our hearts her family and close loved ones, sympathize with those in the Commonwealth of Nations who are in mourning, and remain in solidarity with those whose communities and nations were decimated by the British Empire during and before Queen Elizabeth's reign. And our last pre-submitted candle is from the whole First Parish community, a candle of sorrow and remembrance for Kevin Grealish, whose memorial service we held yesterday. Amidst our own grief, we hold in our hearts Kevin's close family and friends, especially his wife, Andrea, their daughters, Allie and Katie, and his mother, Barbara. And now, if you are here in the sanctuary and have a joy or concern to share, please come forward, light a candle here, share your name and your pronouns, and then briefly describe what is on your heart.
I'm Tabby Rephold, and I ask that you hold healing thoughts for a beloved friend of mine, almost a third daughter, who is a dear friend of my youngest daughter, who this week, at age 40, was diagnosed with breast cancer. We do not know how bad. We do not know how to explain to her 4-year-old child that Mommy is sick. Hold us in your hearts.
Hey, I'm Gail Lehman. This is a candle of thanks to Jim Sargent for his beautiful song Homecoming, and wishes of health and peace to him and his wife Beth. We miss them here. I'm Ann Barrett. This is this. Oh, yeah. I haven't done this in a while. I'm Ann Barrett. This is a candle of joy for the newest addition to our family. Our nephew Justin had a little girl named Evangeline, he and his wife, about a month ago. So that is the newest Barrett, and we're happy.
And now for all the joys and sorrows that we still hold in our hearts, and for the prayers of our neighbors near and far, we light one final silent candle. May the peace of the sanctuary be felt too wherever you are participating from, as we remember that even though we are worshiping in different times and places, we are still deeply connected. And today, as we remember the tragedy of the September 11th terrorist attack and its violent aftermath, we take a moment for prayer and reflection with these words from retired Euro-American UU minister, Reverend Gary Kowalski. Will you breathe deeply in and out and pray with me? Spirit of life and love, known by many names and through many ways, we gather on this beautiful morning, the anniversary of a day painful to remember and impossible to forget. We remember all the heroes of that day, the firefighters and emergency responders who demonstrated such courage in the midst of crisis. We remember the innocents who perished, our friends and neighbors and thousands of strangers who were victims of violence. We remember knowing for a moment that we were connected to each precious life, to the survivors and to those who died, with a bond of shared humanity that we prayed the forces of hate could never break. We remember the voices that counseled peace, even as our nation prepared for war, and we raise our voices still against fanaticism in all its forms, against religious violence, against militarism, against racism and empire, praying that the conflagration of that day might even now cast a more gentle light, leading to a future where all people can live in freedom and without fear. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our musical meditation, our meditative hymn, Meditation on Breathing, written in the aftermath of September 11th. You're welcome to sing any of the 3 tunes that are in our teal hymnals at number 1009. All the lyrics are also printed in your order of service.
Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Now we'll go back to what we had to move past earlier. Since March of this year, our Green Congregations team has spearheaded the local effort to ring the alarm for the 11th hour of the climate crisis. At the 11th hour of the 11th day of the month, we've rung our Paul Revere bell along with other congregations in Massachusetts and up and down the East Coast. So today, now at approximately 11 a.m. on the 11th day of September, I invite Eleanor Rossellini forward to say more about this effort and invite our bell to ring 11 times.
The church bells that have been ringing for the last 6 months, church bells that have been ringing for the last 6 months at 11 a.m. have been to remind us of what we already know, and that is that climate change and its effects are not a problem for tomorrow. They have already started, and we know that when we listen to the news, when we read the news. We are so lucky to be in a beloved community because we can help each other find the courage to keep our eyes open and face the enormity of the problem and to accept the need for profound change. Bill McKibben has said, we have to move hard and fast. And as a community, we can figure out, what does this mean for us? How can we make changes in our own life? What initiatives can we support? What should we oppose? There are a lot of things happening with climate action plans in towns right now. What can we do? But most importantly, as a community, we can give each other the emotional and spiritual support to not lose hope. Because transitioning to a way of living on the earth that is more sustainable and equitable is not a grim task. It is enriching, it is challenging, it is exciting, it is full of opportunity. So I hope that some of you, or many of you, can join us a week from tomorrow. The Green Congregation will have its first Zoom meeting of the year, and we'll be talking about ways to move forward. There'll be watch the bell notes for the Zoom link. And Elliot will be ringing the bell now for 11 times as we contemplate not only the great urgent need for change, but the opportunities that will come to us to help bring that about. Elliot?
This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For the month of September, our collection will be split 50-50 between First Parish and the Generic Ministry. The Generic Ministry is a Needham-based nonprofit whose volunteers gather, sort, and provide clothing, food, toiletries, blankets, and water to people experiencing homelessness on the streets of Boston. After serving their clients during the pandemic through partnerships with various other charities, and particularly Haley House in the South End, Generic Ministry has returned to its core work of volunteers driving its van into the city twice weekly to minister to those in need. First Parish has been a proud supporter of Generic Ministry since its founding almost 2 decades ago, and we continue our strong support of this wonderful organization, both through our offering and through clothing drives, including this month, as you may have seen in your bell notes, or about which you can ask Rick Vincent, who's right there. He'll tell you everything. To donate to our collection, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in your orders of service. You can use text to give to the number 73256. You can donate through our website, uuneedham.org, or you can write a check or give cash in the offering plate or mail your gift to First Parish at 23 Dedham Avenue. Whatever way you give, please be sure to specify whether your gift is for today's collection or for your 2023 pledge. If you're here in the building, the offering collection is also the perfect moment to hand in, if you haven't done so already, your water droplets for water communion. That's mine. And many thanks to the Dorfer family for these beautiful flowers today in memory of Gordon Dorfer, father, husband, and grandpa, on today, his birthday. He is forever in our hearts. May the ushers now please come forward.
Our reading this morning is from a lecture excerpt from Punjabi Canadian educator and entrepreneur Dr. Rumit Milan and her research on the science of belonging. We are hardwired and motivated toward belonging and connection, toward feeling connected, toward bonding. The thing is, when we think about our social needs like cooperation, social bonding, connection, these social needs are actually managed by the same neural networks as our primary survival needs, things like food and water. What we also know is that social pain from being or feeling rejected or excluded is akin to physical pain. What I mean is the same neural pathways will light up if you physically harm me. If you punch me in my arm, the same pathways will light up if you resent me, ostracize me, exclude me. What we also know about belonging is that there's this powerful role of oxytocin, that feel-good hormone. That's what helps us to feel social inclusion or bonded. It promotes connection, trust, empathy. And again, we're hardwired and we're motivated toward that. Now, in my research, when I was looking at how belonging is described and defined, this was one of my biggest aha moments. Belonging does not depend on participation with or proximity to others or groups, because it is defined as a unique and subjective experience. Belonging is an experience. You can invite everyone to the proverbial table, but the question is, what happens when they're there? What is their experience? Are they silenced? Are they ignored? Are they accepted for their perspective, even if it differs from our own? Inclusion may fall short because it does not necessarily lead to that sense of belonging. The experience matters. Here ends our reading.
We humans are social mammals. Deep in our evolutionary biology, we crave belonging, to be part of a tribe, a pack. As we heard in our reading, it's part of our neurology to feel isolation and loneliness the same way we do physical pain. Our evolutionary need for a tribe has gotten us, and still gets humanity, into trouble. But that doesn't change that a sense of belonging is a universal human need. Jewish American neo-pagan spiritual leader and eco-feminist author Starhawk wrote, "We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us, eyes will light up as we enter, voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins to our strength to do the work that needs to be done, arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, somewhere where we can be free." I would hope that for those among us who are longtime first parishioners, that you feel that this faith community, most of the time, is a circle of strength, of healing, of friendship, where we are free to be our own authentic selves and grow into our own power. Such a welcoming community is special because in our dominant American culture, there's so much pressure to fit in, and fitting in is not the same as belonging. I remember when I was a kid, my parents refused to spend what I'm sure was an obscene amount of money for a pair of Vans sneakers I desperately wanted because they were so cool. But my parents didn't believe in buying expensive clothes for still growing children, something I very deeply understand now. So instead, they bought me Vans-esque knockoff shoes, for which I was promptly mocked by some of my elementary school classmates. And on the one hand, now I buy my own Vans, because I'm a grown-up and my feet are no longer growing. See? But on the other hand, even if my parents had bought me those Vans I wanted, I wouldn't have belonged with those classmates who teased me. I had wonderful friends who didn't care what clothes I wore. I didn't need to fit in with those mean kids. I would not have belonged with them. And having the wrong shoes isn't nearly as distressing and dehumanizing as being told we have the wrong sexuality, the wrong skin color, the wrong religion, the wrong abilities. I believe that First Parish and Unitarian Universalist congregations everywhere are called by our faith to become places of belonging for all people who share in our values of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, the humble, lifelong quest for truth and meaning, and the dream of global beloved community with peace, justice, and liberty for all. Muslim UU religious professional Nicole Hodges Abbasi asked her young children what community means to them. Her son, Zaki, said about their UU congregation, "I feel like I just really connect with my friends and that they can always help me sometimes and they never mean or say mean things. They just help you when you need help and you help them when they need help. Everyone likes each other. They're open to thinking and so they're there to be kind to one another." So what does that helpful, friendly, thoughtful, kind Unitarian Universalist behavior look like? How do we embody such a spirit of welcome? Number one for me is to pay attention. Present moment awareness helps us notice who's in the physical or virtual room with us and helps us notice what emotions, experiences, and assumptions we might be carrying into that physical or virtual space. Mindfulness helps us focus on the people we are with and engage with them with open and curious hearts. To create a community in which people experience belonging, we strive to slow down and to look around us with appreciation for the opportunities we have to connect. Just earlier this week, a very well-meaning and kind person complimented me on my necklace, which I think most of you know is a chalice. Some of you know was gifted from my childhood congregation to me upon my graduation from high school. The chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. But she didn't say, "Your necklace is beautiful." She said, "I love your Holy Spirit necklace." It's got a flame and little arms. She was paying attention to me and offering friendliness and welcome, but she wasn't aware of her own assumptions and thus faltered slightly in making me feel like I belonged. To create a community in which people experience belonging, we strive to check our assumptions at the literal and metaphorical door. Any person we don't know at First Parish could be a brand new visitor, or could be a long-term member we haven't met yet. Any person could be a Needham resident or from a nearby or far away town, or maybe are struggling with housing. Any person could be a lifelong UU or could have no idea what's going on here, or both. We just can't know unless we meet others with open-hearted and open-ended questions. Have we met before? How's your day going? What drew you to First Parish today? As opposed to, where do you work? or is your family with you, or stating, you must be new here. We can be mindful to demonstrate that to first parishioners, every person has inherent worth and dignity regardless of gender, sexuality, racial and ethnic identities, ability, educational background, family makeup, religious upbringing, or economic circumstance. To borrow a phrase from our senior youth group, it's also important as we get to know someone to avoid yucking their yum. Have you all heard that? Okay. How off-putting and even painful it can be when someone yucks our yum, especially if they're a relative stranger. I think about how soon after Sarah Elizabeth started as our religious educator last year, I told her how much I hate Crocs. I do. We're apparently on a footwear theme today. I did apologize to her later, a little light bulb went off, that wasn't nice, for shaming her taste in shoes, especially as her boss. And especially when the option was there for me to meet her enthusiasm for Crocs with curiosity and joy. There's no unique moral implication to wearing Crocs, so even though they're not to my taste, I don't need to poo-poo Sarah Elizabeth's taste in shoes. One last thing I think of when I consider how to create a community of belonging is the old adage derived from 20th century Scottish minister and author Reverend John Watson. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. As a Unitarian Universalist minister, I believe that I'm in the hope business, like what Eleanor was talking about. And being in the hope business means I need to live in the tension between reality and vision. The reality is all of us have experienced loss, struggle, forced transitions, especially over the course of the past 2 years. Indeed, we've all been fighting hard battles. We all belong in that reality of confusion and grief. Other, our joys and sorrows, our heartaches and our visions, our vulnerabilities and our care. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned we can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. May we each offer to and receive from each other mindful attention, open-heartedness, enthusiasm, and support, so we may each find and sustain belonging here amidst this community dedicated to love, diversity, and service. Blessed be, and amen. On this day, I know you've been waiting for this time. On this day, all across the country, Unitarian Universalist congregations are celebrating Ingathering Sunday and participating in the ritual we call water communion. The ceremony is just 40 years young, but it has profound meaning and history.
The water communion was developed by Euro-American Unitarian Universalists Carolyn McDade and Lucille Schuck Longview, who were both leaders in the women and religion movement within the Unitarian Universalist Association. This movement that began in the 1970s called for a more inclusive space for women's leadership and spirituality in our denomination. In time, they were quite successful in their efforts, but it took many years.
For their 1980 convocation worship, Longview and McDade created the water communion. Participants brought forward water from all corners of North America to a communal vessel, symbolizing that women were fighting the same fight for empowerment and equality in different ways and in different places. After all the waters were gathered, the activists were blessed with it, giving them strength to continue advocating for gender equality.
In Unitarian Universalist congregations today, we know that there is still much work to be done in our own hearts and in our communities to create a just and compassionate world for all peoples. Our work toward a better whole world continues even when we are apart, though we are mightier when we are together.
Today's gathered waters represent us, the members and friends of First Parish. Though many of us went away in June on vacations and camps and adventures away from our church, this bringing together of many waters symbolizes our ultimate unity as a spiritual community that cares for one another. This is why we celebrate the water communion and why we use this very water after it's been cleaned in our child dedication ceremonies, imparting our blessings upon the youngest among us. Any parent interested in dedicating their child here at First Parish is welcome to speak with myself or Sarah Elizabeth about scheduling the ceremony. And if you forgot your water this morning, or you forgot to collect it, all of the above, you can borrow some representational water. The water in these pitchers in the sanctuary and the worship cafe come from last year's water communion, and they represent the continuity of our congregation from year to year. There is a large water bowl here in the sanctuary and a smaller one in the worship cafe. Representational water is in both places, and we'll bring water from the worship cafe in here once it's collected.
So, to participate in the water communion from here in the building, please come forward by the center aisle as Harold plays a watery song for us. Reverend Katie will read aloud from whence the waters have come. If you didn't put your droplets in the offering plate, please bring it up to Katie at the pulpit now. That goes for everyone in the worship cafe too. After you've poured in your water, you may return to your seats via the side aisles. In the worship cafe, go forward in an orderly fashion to pour in your water, and Sarah Elizabeth will bring our water into the sanctuary so that all of our waters are mixed together. On Zoom and YouTube, we encourage you to type into the chat where your summer waters come from, and if on Zoom, you can change your background to a water photograph if you'd like. Thank you all, and let us begin.
Burnett, Texas. Wellfleet, Massachusetts. Lake Michigan, and water from a family reunion in Chicago. Rain Barrel in Westwood, not enough, a little recognition of drought. Good Harbor Beach and Sebago Lake. Wellfleet Bay in Massachusetts, Camden Harbor in Maine. The sacred ocean that engulfs Cape Cod. Thank you. Elm Bank, walking with dogs. Penobscot Bay, Connecticut River, backyard rain barrel. St. Lawrence River in Quebec. Long Beach, Rockport, Massachusetts. From the wading pool in our backyard that our granddaughter played in. Newport, Rhode Island, Ithaca, New York. Water from a special trip to the Cape with a dear friend. Camden, Maine. Water from Yellowstone in spirit. The beach in Hingham, Massachusetts. Our own backyard. P-Town and Hawaii. Boston Harbor, from my sister-in-law's wedding. Halls Creek in West Hyannisport. Nene and Poppy's Beach in South Carolina. Natasket and in Rockport. Grandma and Grandpa's house, Provincetown, and Santa's Village. Narragansett Bay, Rhode Island. Water from Corporation Beach, so sorry. Cape Cod, Canada. The Wells of Holliston. Needham. The Outer Banks, North Carolina. Big Thompson River, and Estes Park, Colorado. Cape Cod. The New Hampshire Shack. Needham. Madison, Wisconsin. Pompanesett Beach, Mashpee, our water from the Worship Cafe. Acadia National Park. And lastly, the Needham Faucet. Many thanks to all of you who have participated in and witnessed our water communion. For those of you who have returned from a summer away, welcome home. For those of you who have kept First Parish vibrant since June, thank you for welcoming back your truant companions and your staff team. With our great love and commitment to this church, we bless this vessel of water and dedicate it to welcoming new children joining our community of faith. This blessing is adapted from the words of modern genderqueer Muslim UU minister Reverend Ranwa Hamami. This water is sacred. It is made sacred by the many hands that have poured it with intention and love, the many stories that each drop contains, the many lives surrounding it in this unique moment, connected by commitment and faith. May it continue to flow through this community with shining reflections of the unique gifts that flow through each of its members. May it continue to nurture this community with sustaining hope that we journey together through ripples of growth and change. May it continue to bless this community with loving reminders of our collective responsibility to one another and the world. Amen.
Thank you all so much for participating in person and online in our annual water communion ritual. For our closing hymn, we'll sing together Blue Boat Home, a traditional hymn tune with modern lyrics from Euro-American singer-songwriter Peter Mayer. Please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 1064 in your teal hymnals, Blue Boat Home.
Far away from the
As we near the close of our service, please remember that right after the postlude, I keep forgetting I can take this off sometimes. We'll gather for social hour, both in person and on Zoom, and another First Parish tradition we haven't done in person since 2019 is the all-congregation photograph on Ingathering Sunday. So during Zoom social hour, I hope one of the hosts will be able to take a screenshot of everyone there. And if you're here in the building on campus, Ed Quinlan is going to direct us when we get outside so we can all have our masks off and smile. Thank you for your cooperation and enthusiasm to be photographed with your First Parish friends. Keep a careful eye out for emails from First Parish and follow us on social media so you can keep up with opportunities for connection for all ages throughout the week and with updates on our reopening and COVID-19 precautions. You can sign up for our weekly email, The Bell Notes, by clicking on Subscribe to Newsletter on our website, uuneedham.org. There are lots of announcements in the Bell Notes about upcoming justice and learning opportunities, such as tomorrow's DEI committee meeting, the generic ministry clothing drive, the spiritual dimensions of aging small group, the Sunday night book group, and the link for our new monthly themed Spotify playlist. Ooh. And you'll find links for our ongoing spiritual practice groups, Creative and Writing Escapes. Next Sunday, I'll be away at a wedding in Austin, Texas, and Sarah Elizabeth will be leading a special All-RE Sunday. At the center of that service, we've recruited leaders from the congregation to offer multi-generational religious exploration experiences for people of all ages, including singing, small groups, art and writing, and at least one sacred activism project. For those planning to worship online, the live stream will stay here in the sanctuary with our singing opportunity, and Zoom will have a breakout group as well for small group ministry. We'll have in-person and Zoom social hour again after the service, and caregiver support group will meet on Zoom at 12:30. I hope you all have an amazing time connecting across generations next Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you on the 25th when we have our first Sunday of children's and preteen religious exploration classes and the annual volunteer fair. And if you're an 8th or 9th grader or a parent of one, please talk with Sarah Elizabeth at social hour about our whole lives. It's back because we're in person. We always extinguish our chalice here with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are together again, no matter how long it is, until we are all together again. Please join me from here or at home in saying these words written by Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we close our service today, take these words from 20th century New England lesbian poet Mary Oliver with you as a benediction. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. And meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of rain are moving across landscapes over the prairies and the deep trees and the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue sky, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. May we each find our place in the family of First Parish and support others to do the same. Our service begins when our service ends. Welcome home, and amen.